folks who never know it, 5-year-old pro. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Joyce Schreier, and this past year God has called me to do one of the most difficult things you could ever imagine. I have been called to do a new church plan, or at least to explore whether or not there's a possibility that a new church might be planted, and the area that was identified was the area around Green. It actually started about a year ago. Harmony Springs Disciples of Christ congregation had a little seed money to get started. And Eastern Ohio Association wanted to partner with another denomination, and so they matched that seed money. And then they called me and said, would you be the pastor that would see if we could get this off the ground? So I wrote a grant to the National Church, and I got another little bit of matching seed money to get started. For the past year, we have been meeting in a dinner church model, which means we gather around an evening meal and everyone helps to prepare the food, and then we enter into a time of worship. And following that, everyone helps to clean up and we go home. And I wanted to say a special word of thanks to Grace UCC, because on several occasions we have used your kitchen and your family activity. So this feels in some sense a space that I'm familiar with, although not sanctuary, but at least the congregation. We started last year with this little bit of seed money and no church building and no people. And so you can imagine it's been a real challenge. And I'm excited when I say that we have now, we usually gather about 10 people, but we have about 22 that come from time to time. So it's kind of exciting to see those possibilities and see what might happen as we break bread and share together. Your Pastor Jeff Nelson is on my leadership team, helping to give direction and sense of vision as we continue the struggle of reaching out and trying to determine whether or not we can make this a viable new church. And if any of you would like to join us, we are going to meet for a time of listening and sharing at the Giant Eagle in the Market District in the upstairs room on December the 2nd at 6 o'clock. And we'll gather and greet one another, and then everyone will go downstairs and find something to eat, and we'll come back upstairs and eat together and share and talk a little bit about some educational topic that has to do with this new church start. Pray for us. Greenhouse Spiritual Community. Another ministry that I'm involved in right now is as part of the Ohio Conference. I'm on their German working group, and we have a German exchange for youth. And I'm still looking for youth. We have had 12 German youth that came from last summer and spent 3 weeks with us here in the United States. This coming summer, we're looking for 12 youth to take to Germany, and for 3 weeks, July 1st through the 23rd. And if any of your senior high need to be at least 8th grade right now, 8th grade through 12th grade would be interested and want to be part of this group. They're kids from all over Eastern Ohio Association, and it's an opportunity to travel abroad and to learn about faith and to learn about our heritage and to learn about another culture. That being said, that's kind of an introduction of myself. It's a pleasure to be here today to share and worship with you. Let us turn to the Gospel of John. The 18th chapter, verse 33 through 37. Then Pilate entered the headquarters again and summoned Jesus and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "You ask this of your own, or did others tell you about me?" And Pilate replied, "I am not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priests have handed you over to me. What have you done?" And Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not from this world. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here." And Pilate asked him, "So you are a king?" And Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." Pilate asked him, "What is truth?" Here is the reading of our gospel. We give God thanks and praise. Amen. November is that month of gratitude. As I recall, a few years back, my Facebook feed would be filled with items of thanks for every day in this season. So every day someone would post something for which they were thankful for. It started out that way early this month, but I've noticed in recent days that there have been few posts of things for which people are giving thanks. Instead, I see posts that reveal the terror that's happening in our world. It's been a difficult week. Carnage in Paris and Mali. A war in Syria and Iraq. And in spite of that deep gratitude, it's unsettling to see video recordings of bombings and to hear voices wailing loved ones who have survived. And questions of faith are plagued with fear. What's the right thing to do? Should our country risk admitting refugees? How do we respond to ISIS fanatics? And the terror escalates. In the living and in the dead, Jesus stood before Pilate. And the question was raised. What is truth? What is the right thing to do? Should we secure borders or welcome strangers? Lives hang in balance. Many voices call to us. What is the truth about who we are and who they are and why this is happening? What is truth? The question comes to Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate was Caesar's man, right there in Jerusalem. Let's start by thinking a little bit about this Gospel of John, why he wrote it. It was 100 years after Jesus had died, more or less. Rapidly approaching the end of his life, John was encouraged by his followers to write down the memories that he had of the Lord. In those 100 years of time since the other disciples wrote their Gospels, the world had changed. Now, instead of being primarily Jewish, they were Greek, Gentiles. The new converts were now Gentiles. So John's Gospel focused on two concepts. The Logos, or the Word. Think back to the beginning of John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was of God. And the Word was made flesh and lived among us. Full of grace. And here's the second concept. And full of grace and truth. Truth. Another one of those themes of John. And Pilate asks that famous question, what is truth? And John records that Jesus is the way, the light, and the truth. His word is focused upon the word and truth. And the question is asked, when we're confronted with all of these conflicting narratives, and Jesus comes to earth and becomes that Spirit, I think of that word, and I'm reminded of another beginning. In the beginning was Genesis 1, and God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was formless without void, and his Spirit moved over that chaos and brought forth order and separated the day from the night. Brought forth the lands, separated them from the sea, and brought forth creation. And blessed it, and said, this is good. In that blessing, how is it that we see life as good and that we can be thankful for every experience in our life? That blessing comes forward as people of God. We are blessed. Jesus walked into Jerusalem freely. He knows in the core of his being who he is, the truth. He cannot live his life in fear. His life cannot be stopped by brutality or cruelty. The truth is that life goes on in Paris. It is still the city of light. It is still the city of love. I was moved by the people who willingly came up and hugged the Muslim that stood blindfolded in that city square with a sign, "Hug me if you trust me." What is truth? That truth with a capital T. That truth is what you know in your soul. That because God is love, God first loved you. Job learns that truth. Job learns that truth is a blessing beyond human understanding. Because Job knew that in the core of his being, God is love. Jacob knew that truth. Jacob learns that sometimes the blessing can hurt. But he knew in the core of his soul that God is love. Mary learns through the tears that she shed at the bottom of the cross when her heart was broken. The disciples in Emmaus learned the power of truth when they walked in despair. We're Christians, and we live in the truth that God made flesh in Christ, who lived his life willing to pour out his love. The truth is love. We see each other through our eyes, each one unique. Our backgrounds, our histories, but in the end, God is the Word, and the Word is truth, and that Word is still love. And John gives us a clue. Just before he begins his passion, Jesus prays with his disciples. And those loud media voices and political voices that shape our ideas, that we cling to know is true in the core of our being, result in knowing that God is love. And Jesus prayed for truth and for light to be revealed. And we see that truth and that light in the helpers and those who witness to save lives. It doesn't matter if they're Christian or Jew or Muslim. God is love. And Jesus prays for you and for me that we strive each day to learn more about truth and what is real and what is important and what makes the Word come alive for us. To welcome the refugee, to feed the hungry, to offer a bed to the homeless. How can we be grateful if we haven't responded to the truth? God is love. And in the next part of John, Jesus is led out to the place of the skull. Where he's killed. Let us pray. Almighty God, you remember the oath that you swore to David and so established a glorious realm of salvation through Jesus of Nazareth, his heir. Train our eyes to see the truth, that standing firmly on hope, we may heed your voice and be assured that your love is with us always.